Hi friends, Quill here. Welcome back to our hashtag Dexit predictions here on the channel. If you're as excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield as I am and you're enjoying these sorts of videos, make sure to hit that like button down below so I know to continue that content. Now, in the last episode, if you were paying attention to the comments, a good friend of ours here on the channel, Sandra, pointed out that some of my Pokemon were not up to date. For instance, Pokemon like Togedemaru, who have been confirmed but are marked for our series as unconfirmed, so I went through and, as you can see, fixed those problems. Thank you so much, Sandra, for that. But like I told Sandra in the comments, for the Pokemon that we've already gone over that have been confirmed, I'm not going to go through and change them yet. At the end of this series, in a couple of weeks, we're going to go ahead and look at all of our predictions, see which ones are confirmed and which ones aren't confirmed. We're going to save all of those Pokemon for that video. But for the Pokemon that are to come, I went through and fixed them. Again, thank you so much, Sandra. But without further ado, Unova has a lot of Pokemon, so we're going to get right into it. Alright, now the Unova Pokedex lists its mythical Pokemon right at the beginning. Victini, just like Mew, just like Celebi, just like Jirachi. Those Pokemon I think we will see. Just because Mew is confirmed, I think that there's a case to be made that these mythical Pokemon will be included. I could be wrong in that, but for now, I'm gonna say we'll see Victini. And the same goes for the starters. I think they are perfect candidates for the max raid battle system. I definitely think that is an interesting concept and one that we'll probably see. Now when it comes to Patrat, a lot of people hate this Pokemon. It's not very good competitively and there are enough normal types. I don't think we'll see it. On the contrary, Lillipup is very popular. It's not the best competitive Pokemon, but in terms of popularity and how much people like it, I think Lillipup has a very good chance of making it into the new games. Moving on to the Elemental Monkeys, everyone's favorite Elemental Monkeys. Everyone hates them, that was a joke. Except when I say that everyone hates them, I mean everyone except for Game Freak, which we know is all that matters, so I think that these monkeys will be in for sure. Unfortunately, there's a good chance that they won't make it just because of how unpopular they are, but if we're being realistic about it. Munna and Musharna played an important role in the very beginning of Pokemon Black and White. If you're watching my Black Randomizer Nuzlocke, which you should do, you can see the scene where the Team Plasma Grunts go up and kick Munna to get its Dream Mist out of it. However, I don't see it in the Galar Pokedex, even though it played an important role in the Unova games. This pains me because I like Blitzel and Zebstrika, it's just they don't stand out enough and there are plenty of electric types to fill that slot, and a lot of them have already been confirmed, so I don't think we'll see Blitzel. Being that Drillbur and Excadrill have a very interesting typing and a very interesting ability in Sand Rush, I think it's very possible that we'll see them in the new games. I know that Steelix is already confirmed, and of course it shares its typing with Excadrill. However, Excadrill is very popular and very useful in battle. It could be left out, but I don't think that's the case. Now, in a previous video, I went ahead and included Chansey, seeing as how Audino doesn't really fill any sort of niche except for the Chansey replacement in the Unova region. I don't think we'll see it. It did get a Mega Evolution, but I think that was just to differentiate it once Chansey was re-included into the Pokemon games. But nowadays, I don't think it serves much of a purpose. Alright, Sock is confirmed, Throw's confirmed. Let's be real. Alright, Sewaddle and its line fall into the category of Pokemon that I think would be confirmed for the new games if so many other Unova Pokemon weren't already. I think it could fit into the Galar region, and for that reason I definitely could be wrong on this, but I just think it's not one of the defining Pokemon of the Unova region, and for that reason, I think it will get cut. Venipede and its line are Pokemon that have seen some competitive viability, and it serves as a really strong poison type, which I think is a little bit lacking in the Pokemon universe. I think for those reasons, Game Freak will go ahead and include those Pokemon. And of course, the counterpart to Cottony and Whimsicott is Lilligant and Petalil, so I think we will absolutely be seeing them in the new games. I don't really see any reason to include Basculin. If I'm being totally honest with you, I think that the games might be better off without them, if not certainly the same. Next up are a few Pokemon that I think have very strong possibilities to become Galar forms, including the Crocodile line. If they count the Crocodile line out, that will be very unfortunate. They and the Darumaka line are very representative of the Unova Pokedex, and for that reason, I don't see them being left out. I think that Dwebble and Crustle are a little bit forgettable, but they've got a more unique typing, and I think that they stand a good chance of being in the new games. And that also extends to the Scrafty line. I think too many people like them for them not to be included. Pythagoras, Cofagrigus, however you pronounce it. I think that it is a very interesting Pokemon. I think that's one that they very well could include in future games, but for the Galar Pokedex, I don't necessarily see it fitting. If you've been watching the series, you know that we don't include fossil-type Pokemon. I think they'll include new fossils this generation and exclude all of the old ones. Let's be honest for a second, Zeraora and Zoroark have their own movie. They'll be in the new games. I think that the Gothitelle line falls into this very unfortunate void of a million psychic types that it can't compete with. I think in different circumstances we would see the Gothitelle line, but for these games I don't think it's the case. Unfortunately for the Ducklet line, I love Ducklet, but with the introduction of Cormorant and the possible inclusion of Pelipper and the like, I just don't think that Swanna will be in the new game. Deerling and Sawsbuck have a really unique typing, and although they're not the best competitively, they've got a really interesting gimmick with the whole changing with the seasons thing. I think it's very likely that we'll see them in the new games. I know I said in the past that I don't think they will be including a bunch of the Pokemon clones, as you can see right up here, Pachirisu. I don't think it'll be in the games, but Emolga has the flying type, which makes it a little bit unique. I think it is just enough to get it into the new game. Fungus and Amoonguss. A lot of people are going to be really upset if these Pokemon are not in the new games. However, they're not standoutish enough. They don't have an interesting type. The whole Pokeball gimmick is already covered by Electrode and Voltorb, and there's a really good chance I think that they won't bring either of those Pokemon lines back. It doesn't look good for these mushroom Pokemon. Alomomola is just lost in a sea of water types, pun definitely intended, and I don't think it's a good chance that we'll see it. Now this is really interesting because the Clink line has been seen on artwork for different parts of the game, like on buildings and stuff like that. While it is possible that we won't see them and they're just paintings in the background, I don't think that's very likely. I think we will see the Clink line. Next up, we have some very unique Pokemon that don't have any weaknesses because of their Levitate ability. I think the Electros line is strange and weird enough for sure to be in the Galar region. Elgyem and Beheeyem, I don't see them in the new games. I think they're a little bit too out there to go anywhere other than the Unova region. Alright, next up is Cubchoo and its evolution Beartic. I think that these Pokemon are popular enough to make it into the new games. Plus they're Pokemon that are very indicative, I guess, of colder climates, which I think the wild area is going to be dependent upon. The same line of thought goes for including Cryogonal, which I am going to go out on a limb and say that I think they will do. We've already seen that Carablast and Escavalier are included, so in order for them to be able to evolve, Shelmet and Excelgor are definitely confirmed for the new games. They're not going to leave out Stunfisk. I think Stunfisk could be a new Galar form. I would be very interested to see what a Galar Stunfisk would be, but it's a unique typing, it's a unique design, a unique concept. They're going to include Stunfisk. Mienfoo, Mienshao, and Druddigon, I'm afraid I don't see them in the new generation. I really like all three of those Pokemon, but it's just they are competing for slots against Pokemon that are much more unique than them. Like Pawniard and Bisharp, I think, of course, Pawniard and Bisharp kind of gaining inspiration from the game of chess helps their possibility of being in the Galar region. I wouldn't be surprised if they also gained a Galar evolution. Maybe it'll be a queen or a king based on the gender. I think that'd be really interesting also. I'd love to see that. In previous episodes, I have included Tauros and Miltank, and I think that those kind of deconfirm Bouffalant. Of course, with Rufflet, you get Volibile. It's just how it works. So Durant is one of my favorite Pokemon in the Unova Pokedex. Competitively, it's very interesting with its hustle ability. They do give off a sort of industrial feel that I think matches the Galar region, as well as, like Zangoose and Seviper, have this rivalry that I think very much matches the feel that the Galar region is trying to go for. And for those reasons, I think that we'll see those Pokemon. If I'm being totally honest, Volcarona and Larvesta are just too popular. I think that if they're not included, there'll be a lot of upset people, and I think Game Freak knows that. And now we come to a bunch of legendary Pokemon, and quite frankly, I don't think any of them will make it into the new game. And that's really upsetting because, if you're watching my Pokemon Black randomizer Nuzlocke, you'll see that I have a Meloetta and I have a Terrakion, and they're doing really great, and I'm growing a little bit attached to them. But if they don't make it into the new games, I suppose that's the price to pay for what I'm hoping are going to be pretty good games. Of course, as I've said before, this whole knock out all of the legendaries could definitely be wrong, especially in the case of like Genesect and Meloetta, which are sort of semi-mythical Pokemon, semi-legendary. There's a lot of gray area in how Pokemon decides to classify different Pokemon, and so I think there's a possibility we'll see some of these Pokemon, but definitely not all of them. Alright, my friends, that does it for this episode. As you can see, it looks like a lot of the Unova region will be shown in the Galar region. I guess that sort of makes sense, being how the real-life United States and the real-life Great Britain, off of which both of those regions are based, interact with each other. But there are my predictions, so let me know down in the comments what you think. Let me know of one Pokemon that you disagree with on, and one that you agree with me on. And other than that, my friends, as always, see you next time.